Back in late March, the internet blew up with a shocking story out of Dubai. A young Russian model, Maria Kovalchuk, was found on the side of the road with multiple broken bones after what the media called a mysterious fall from a high rise. She survived, and months later finally gave her first interview to journalist Ksenia Sobchak. But instead of clearing the air, that interview only made things more confusing. Maria says she remembers almost nothing about what happened. But is that really the case? Or is she staying quiet for another reason? Why, after supposedly escaping from a hotel room, didn't she run to the reception desk or call security? Why did she end up on a construction site instead? And how exactly was she making a living in Dubai before all of this happened? To make things even murkier, one of the men Maria accused of being involved has come forward with his own version of events, which Sobchak later published on her Telegram channel. Today, we're breaking all of this down and looking at what might have really happened behind closed doors that night. Before we start, let me be clear. Everything I'm about to share is just my personal opinion and speculation based on what's publicly known. I do not condone violence in any form. My heart goes out to Maria, and I truly hope she fully recovers. Now, let's talk about what might have really happened. There's been a lot of talk online suggesting Maria was somehow connected to the escort scene, even though she denies it. Still, parts of her social media make people think otherwise. Here's the thing. The escort world today is heavily glamorized on social media. It looks like fast money, designer gifts, luxury trips. But in my experience, girls don't just randomly end up there. It usually comes from a specific psychological pattern. For a 20-year-old girl from a working class family, a trip to Dubai can feel like a golden ticket to a dream life. And it doesn't start with abuse. It starts with promises. Come, it's safe, it's glamorous, you'll live like a star. The trap is this. Many of these girls have conditional self-worth. They only feel valuable when someone chooses them, when they have money, when they're admired. Without that, they feel like nothing. So when a chance appears, luxury gifts, life in Dubai, it hits that exact wound. Finally, I'm special. I deserve more. And for many, as painful as it sounds, it's also about finally earning love from their own family. Imagine being the eldest daughter in a big family. When younger siblings are born, you're forced to grow up fast. You stop being the little girl who needs love. Instead, you're praised only when you're helpful, taking care of siblings, cleaning, cooking. So, years later, when you suddenly can send money home, live a flashy life abroad, it feels like finally you can earn that missing love and validation. That's why girls like this aren't just chasing money. They're chasing proof that they're worth loving, worth noticing. When someone is willing to pay for their time or image, it feels like, bye, finally I matter. But a high price tag doesn't mean true value. It just shows who holds the power. Maria says she went to Dubai with friends for vacation, and OnlyFans was her main income, around 203K a month. But for Dubai, that barely covers living expenses. She also admitted going to model tables, special VIP sections in clubs where attractive women sit to create a luxurious vibe. Officially, it's just socializing. In reality, it's often the first step to meeting wealthy clients for intimacy. That's where the real money is. She had plans to fly to Thailand after one of these parties, but that day, she called her mom, said she was delaying the trip to stay with new acquaintances, and then completely lost contact. Soon after, she was found on the side of the road with devastating injuries. She's had 9 surgeries since. In her interview, Maria explained that after missing her Thailand flight, she met a young guy in the hotel lobby, someone she'd seen at the club the night before. He invited her to stay in his room, promising they'd fly to Thailand later on his father's private jet. She agreed. And that's where the events leading to tragedy began. But let's pause here. If you're just a regular traveler who missed a flight, what do? You buy another ticket. Maria says she couldn't afford it, which tells me someone else was already funding her lifestyle in Dubai. Now imagine, you're in a foreign city, broke, and some barely familiar guys invite you to stay in their room. Maria insists there was no barely any alcohol or illegal substances. It was all proper. But wealthy, respectable people don't cram 5 people into one hotel room, not even a suite. If there were truly no intimate expectations, A man with money would simply book you your own room or pay for a new flight. 3 days with 6 people in one room doesn't add up. This makes it hard to believe Maria was completely uninvolved in escorting. To me, there are two scenarios. One, she knowingly went there for a certain reason. Two, she was misled, promised luxury and a private jet to lure her in. Either way, something went very wrong. Maria says the men turned aggressive. So no matter why she went there, at some point, things happened that she didn't consent to. Then there's a big question. Why didn't she call hotel security, the reception desk, or hit the panic button in the room? Here's my theory. In the early stages, she probably still had a chance to call for help or leave. But someone with healthy boundaries senses danger quickly and reacts fast. Someone with blurred boundaries who doubts herself, doesn't trust her instincts, hesitates. She might have seen red flags but ignored them, hoping everything was fine. By the time the situation escalated into aggression, it was likely too late to reach the phone or button. Or maybe she was threatened into silence. To really understand why someone doesn't trust their own gut feelings, why they hesitate to protect themselves, we need to look at family patterns, especially the relationship with her mother. Again, this is only my personal opinion. We don't know the full truth about Maria's family or what happened behind closed doors. We can only piece together possibilities. Maria's mom is now standing by her side, supporting her, protecting her, organizing interviews and public statements. And honestly, for an adult child who has gone through severe trauma, that's crucial. Some people online accuse her mom of trying to monetize the story. Maybe. But from what we can see, she's doing what she knows best right now, fighting for her daughter. And despite how strong and put together Maria looked in that interview, with clear speech and calm demeanor, I don't believe she currently has the strength to fight for herself. After such massive physical and psychological trauma, outward appearances often don't reflect the inner state. Inside, there can be nightmares, emotional numbness, flashbacks. I'm almost certain Maria has been prescribed medications, and that kind of medical and psychological support naturally suppresses strong emotions. So, the mind can slowly heal. So, right now, her mother is Maria's anchor. But here's the paradox I can't stop thinking about. What if this is the first time ever her mom has truly become the kind of mother Maria always needed? Because from what we know about their relationship before the tragedy, it sounded less like mother-daughter and more like two girlfriends chatting. I mean, think about it. Hey, Mom, I'm in Dubai staying in a hotel room with two guys I just met. Tomorrow we're flying on their private jet to Thailand. And her mom just says, okay, stay safe. That's not what a protective, boundary-setting parent says. It feels like this mix of mom as a friend plus a strong, controlling, pushy energy. And this kind of family dynamic often leads young women straight into risky paths, like escorting, toxic relationships, blurred personal boundaries. Here's how it typically develops. Friend, not a mom. Instead of being a clear, safe authority figure, the mother plays the role of a friend. I'm cool, I won't stop you, I don't set strict rules. But this isn't true freedom, it's actually a lack of safety and structure. A daughter never feels there's someone truly protecting her, teaching her healthy boundaries. Maria, as the oldest of 3 siblings, probably had to grow up fast, helping with her younger sister and brother. That kind of family sends a clear message. Don't be a kid. Mature quickly. Be helpful. The child's own needs aren't prioritized. She learns to be pleasant, pretty, low maintenance, avoiding conflict. And what happens? She grows up seeking love and acceptance through her body and sexuality, never fully sensing danger, unable to distinguish freedom from self-destruction. Inside, there's a constant emptiness, a craving to finally be seen and loved, often at the cost of using her looks, charm, or compliance. The soft but controlling mother. On the outside, the mom seems gentle, but underneath, she's strong, assertive, knows how to push, negotiate, even manipulate to get things done. We see this now in how she's handling the media. In childhood, this often shows up as guilt-driven control. I've sacrificed everything for you, and this is how you treat me. Sudden pressure or even punishment when the child steps outside invisible rules. The daughter grows up tense, never sure when mom will support or when she'll hit emotionally. So, what happens inside a girl like Maria? Part of her wants to be the good girl, making mom proud. Another part doesn't feel truly safe, believing no one can fully protect her. She learns early independence, risky ways of making money, clinging to powerful men, seeking status and security through them. She doesn't have a model of healthy attachment. Love and exploitation blur together. She survives in a male dominated world through sexuality and manipulation, but deep down remains emotionally fragile and unprotected. Now let's return to what happened in that hotel. Maria says she eventually escaped. But there's a gap. 5 hours pass between leaving that room and her falling at the construction site. Why? Why was she wandering through the city instead of running straight to hotel security or calling the police? Here's my guess, and again, this is just speculation. I think what happened in that room was far worse than Maria has told us. Her decision to run to a construction site instead of seeking help only makes sense if she was in deep shock, possibly after experiencing extreme abuse or humiliation even before escaping. When the human mind is in pure survival mode, there are only three responses: fight, flight, or freeze. Maria chose flight. Why a construction site, not reception? Instinct? In that state, logic shuts down. You run anywhere that feels like escape, like safety, even if it's not truly safe. The hotel reception still felt like enemy territory, too close to the aggressors. Fear of law enforcement. If she was providing escort services, going to the police could mean jail time, not rescue. Shame. After trauma, many victims can't face people immediately. Some run away from people, not toward them. That's tied to deep unconscious mistrust and coping style. Survivor behavior. Running to safety is one stage. Asking for help is another. After severe shock, the first instinct is simply to hide and process. Am I even alive? So those 5 hours wandering make sense to me. She was traumatized, in shock, trying to disappear. In Sobchak's interview, Ksenia asked about BDSM and shibari practices. Maria casually admitted to it. Yeah, I've done that. What's the big deal? Not all escorts participate in this. Choosing to do so usually isn't just about money. It often links to deeper psychological patterns. One is adrenaline addiction, a tendency to seek risky, intense experiences. This usually comes from childhood trauma, where emotions were suppressed or adults around were unstable. Such people carry massive, unprocessed emotions, anger, fear, shame, that they don't know how to express in words. So they subconsciously seek high-risk situations to release that tension through adrenaline spikes. Another factor is the submissive role. Sometimes being tied up or dominated feels relieving. Why? Because living with constant anxiety creates hyper control. I must stay in control or something bad will happen. During these practices, control is taken away, signaling to the brain, there's nothing I can do, so I can stop worrying. But let's be clear, BDSM or shibari is not a solution to childhood trauma. It's just a coping mechanism. True healing requires therapy, not reenacting pain. Any unsafe practices can be harmful to both mental and physical health, and when these acts become paid services, especially when non-consensual or coerced, it crosses into abuse that only worsens existing psychological wounds. Even with safe words, in reality, a woman often knows that saying stop might mean losing payment, or worse, facing aggression. These environments can be dangerous, even life-threatening. Now, everyone wants to know who did this to Maria. She named several young men, not just random rich kids, but sons of very wealthy, powerful families. And here's the thing, wealth doesn't mean emotional health. Often in elite families, parents are absorbed in business. Children are raised by nannies. Warmth, empathy, genuine connection, missing. Emotions are replaced with money. Upset? Here's a gift. This stunts emotional development. Kids grow up believing feelings can be bought or ignored. A parent who runs a major business may also be dominant and harsh at home. A boy like Artem or Alexei might never hear, I'm proud of you just for being you. Instead, it's, be the best. Anything is allowed as long as you pay. This breeds narcissism, delusions of power, and suppressed rage. A man raised this way despises weakness in himself and others. That's why, as adults, these men can hurt or humiliate someone who mirrors that vulnerable part they hate in themselves. Remember, school bullies are almost always bullied or neglected at home. Add alcohol or drugs to that psychological mix, and the internal brakes are gone. Buried anger explodes. But here's another dark twist. There were women in that group too. Why didn't they help Maria? Why join in or encourage it? This mindset comes from a different but equally tragic psychology. These women don't stand with victims because they fear becoming victims themselves. Often, they too have histories of humiliation or abuse. So they align with powerful men, thinking, if I'm with them, it can't happen to me. I'm safe. One of the men Maria accused has publicly shared his version of events, which Sobchak published. According to that statement, Maria left the hotel room around 9:15 p.m. She didn't seek help from staff, reception, or security. She walked out alone. At 2:09 a.m., 5 hours later, she's seen climbing a construction crane with no one chasing her. Police, prosecutors, and hotel security all allegedly concluded Maria fell on her own. The statement also claims, by day 3, Maria was hysterical, saying she felt empty, tired of everything, that nobody would see her again. She allegedly left the room voluntarily with only her phone, making no calls to her mom, police, or friends during those 5 hours. To me, this doesn't sound like the young man himself. It reads like a carefully crafted response from his lawyers, essentially taking Maria's interview and systematically denying every point. So, why does Maria's interview feel so unconvincing? Because too many signs point to escort work, which she outright denies. And when someone denies something obvious, it undermines trust in the rest of their story. That's why many don't believe her memory loss claim. Did she lie? Here's what I think. After everything that happened, Maria isn't facing just one choice. She's juggling 3 painful dilemmas: tell the truth or stay silent. She knows the full truth could destroy her. Powerful people don't want the truth out. And telling it means shame, pain, public hate, maybe even threats. Remember or forget. People ask, does she really have amnesia, or is she hiding something? Psychologically, it doesn't matter. The mind blocks out what's unbearable. And when instead of support you're hit with blame and victim shaming, it's even easier for memory to shut down. Truth or survival money. Sometimes you're broken, then offered money to stay quiet. Saying no means no safety, no funds for treatment, legal help, even education. It stops being a choice. It's pure survival. To cope, the mind rationalizes, why dig this up? Nothing will change. I just want to live. I don't know how much of Maria's interview is true, but I believe one thing. When you've been through hell, you don't always choose the morally right path. You choose the one you have enough strength to live with. For Maria, that might mean living with the truth, public hate, and no money. Or taking money, calming public attacks, salvaging her reputation, maybe even building a media career to leave escorting behind. But at the cost of full honesty. Given the fear for her life, the cost of physical and psychological recovery, and a possible chance to start over, it's plausible she chose the second option. Again, that's only speculation. What do you think happened? Let me know in the comments.